And welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. We are back. Really doing this episode at the very last minute of the day I should be recording this. If you're watching the video, and I hope you are. I know you're not. I am wearing a Atlanta Braves shirt. Today is the opening day for baseball. Baseball is my, let's see, fourth favorite sport, maybe. Football, basketball, tennis, baseball, then golf. Yes, probably. That's probably it. But let's get to it because I'm only using one camera, and apparently this thing dies down at 17 minutes. Real quick. I know I said this a couple weeks ago, where I had to be at work in my office in Atlanta, Georgia. I had to be. I go into work, and we had to leave early. Just had to be sent home because we thought someone had the COVID-19. Was catching COVID-19 coronavirus, and I was out of my regular office for a couple of days, staying at home, and then I had to work on a different floor. Boring story. Yesterday, I was sent home early because the same exact thing happened. But I didn't. But I go back. I go to work today, and we didn't have to work out of a different office. They got it cleaned overnight. So that's all well and good. But it was nice to come home an hour early. No, truly, I left at like 3:00. Yeah. Anyway. But then but a couple of days ago, so like maybe on Tuesday. So now today's Thursday when I usually record the show. On Tuesday, I'm at work. I drink a lot of water at work. So I finished my water for like the second time that day, and I go to use the restroom as one does. I use the restroom, toilet flushes, and I hear this weird, just loud rumbling and crash, and it is just this big, it's something you shouldn't hear in a home, a business, an office, truly anywhere, and it sounded like a car had driven through pipes. And so it's this giant crash, just like shaking everything. And I go, wow, my flush did that. And if my urine can do that, then boy, oh boy, what else can my body do? And so I go, that's weird, and it lasts for several seconds. I shouldn't even have it in the first place. I go to the sink, I turn the sink on, the water starts sputtering. And I wet my hands, I get some soap, and I start lathering up for the 20 seconds we're washing. The water starts sputtering. I pull my hands away because I don't know what's going to happen. The toilet is still flushing. It's still going on at this point. And the water in the sink starts turning yellow. Now, sometimes in old homes, in old offices, in old buildings, the pipes will rust. And you can in the rust you can see in the water. This building is fairly new, and there's no rust in those pipes. I 1,000%, and I will not recant on this. 1,000% believe that something happened. A pipe bursted or ruptured, and the toilet pipes are close to the hand washing, the sink pipes, and that my urine somehow made it into the sink. Because it was shooting out. So I try. So there's like 4 sinks in the bathroom. I try one sink. That's disgusting. I try another sink. That's disgusting. My hands are still covered with like just a bunch of soap. And I go, you know what? I'm done. I'm not using the bathroom the rest of the day. I get some paper towels. I wipe off my hands. I throw it away. Go back to my office. Just spray down with hand sanitizer. And I'm disgusted. I tell one of the execs, and who still comes in. I go. This just happened, and it was gross. And he said, ew, that's effing disgusting. I'm going to tell the building. I assume he told the building. I used the restroom today, and nothing was the matter. But also, that's the worst. I work on the worst floor when it comes to toilet stuff, because the editors are disgusting people, and they poop everywhere all the time. So here we go. Anyway, let's move on to the first story. This comes from Variety, written by Mackenzie Nichols, and this just came in today, so I have never even looked at it. Michael B. Jordan and Broadway Theater Coalition unveil racial injustice initiatives. So I spoke last week on how TV shows and movies are hiring people of color, and which is good and everything, kind of like a knee-jerk reaction. But Broadway has had this long life, and yet there's not a lot of Broadway actors, like Broadway actors of color, don't really go as far as their white counterparts. So Michael B. Jordan and a trio of what I'm reading, Broadway insiders, have unveiled separate initiatives to advance the cause of racial injustice in the entertainment industry. Jordan has partnered with nonprofit organization, which is one of my favorite organizations, Color of Change, to launch the hashtag Change Hollywood initiative. So they have actual roadmaps that they're building along with how industry leaders and executives and producers and everyone else can change their hiring practices and make people of color, more prominent in the industry. And this is great because this is the second time Michael B. Jordan has done this. In 2018, he spearheaded the groundbreaking agreement with Warner Brothers that calls for Warner Media now, Warner Brothers, to release an annual report disclosing diversity and inclusion statistics for all the company's various TV, film, and digital production. Now, you'll recall I did an episode of News Time about a year after Frances McDormand went up on the stage of the Academy Awards and said Inclusion Initiative. And people were like, what's Inclusion Initiative? What's an inclusion writer? What's an inclusion writer? What's an inclusion writer? And the trades and news companies, organizations all around the world were going like, this is what an inclusion writer is, and this is how it works, and blah, blah, blah. Layman's terms, if you're famous, you have a writer. Like if you're Justin Bieber and you go to perform at a venue and you say, I want green M&Ms and a pineapple in the green room, then they're going to have green M&Ms and a pineapple in the green room. Well, hopefully they'll have that. And like say, I want an Xbox hooked up to an LG TV. They'll have an Xbox, stuff like that. So this is great. This is wonderful. And so that was that year. And then the year following, Michael B. Jordan and Ava DuVernay, everybody at these awards ceremonies, they can talk a big game. They can stand up and clap at these things, but they don't really do anything about it. And the following year, Michael B. Jordan and Ava DuVernay, both doing their own separate things. Ava DuVernay hired a bunch of for that following season of Queen Sugar. She hired only female directors, and I believe most of them were female directors of color. And then Michael B. His company was looking to do the parody thing with like 50% people of color working on productions and 50%, whites, which is great. However, you don't see that with everybody else. No one else is doing that. No one else is doing that, and no one else is like, I said this a couple weeks ago about famous people giving money to. I don't know if I said this or not. I think this might have been something I said in my head to myself. But The Weeknd and Drake and a bunch of like other famous people, they during this pandemic, they gave $500,000 to World Kitchen. What is that called? What's World Kitchen? I think that's what it's called. I gave them $10. I don't know why I said this, but anyway, and it became news stories. But Drake and The Weeknd and everybody else, they don't mention that. It's the companies, all right, I guess, or the management or somebody else is mentioning that for them. Anyway, that's not to say that that should apply to this. Michael B. Jordan's doing a great job, really trying to. People talk about him being handsome and so funny, but you know what? He's also a philanthropist, all right, and he cares about the people of color and women. I don't know about women. I think this is just for people of color. So this is great. I'm glad to see that happen. Next up, we have so Conan went back to the studio. He's doing shows at Largo. He's doing live stuff at Largo. And then Fallon is back in his studio. He came back last week inside his studio. Redesign it looks really nice, and I wonder if they're going to keep that. I wonder if that was these late night hosts. They periodically redo their sets and everything. So I wonder if they're going to keep Fallon's new Tonight Show set because it looks really great. The Darkwood is just perfect for that show, and it feels very intimate. And it's like him, Black Thought, Questlove, and the guy, I believe his name, who plays piano for piano. I just typed in piano for, and it just said piano for sale. His name is James, I believe. James, let's see, piano player. Let's just type in piano player for the Roots, because that is how you do it. His name is James Poyser. And how did I know his name was James? Oh, because I like the Roots. Yeah, it makes sense. So Fallon is back, and again, pared down crew and everything, and so that's nice to see. And so 30 Rock and CBS this morning, two of their hosts are back, and Today's Show, I don't think has ever. Well, no, they did leave. They did leave for a little bit. So now, I mean, obviously, you can't bring everybody back in the studio, and everybody's got to be socially distant and all that stuff. But it's going to be interesting because we're coming into the television season starting after the Emmys happen in September. I believe that's when they're happening this year. So we need to have shows start coming back, and that brings me to this. This is from Variety. Saturday Night Live plots return to studio production. Written by Brian Steinberg. Lauren Michaels and NBC are trying to figure out a way to do the show from the studio, and I think it's incredibly possible. I mean, you don't need this. Watching Conan and Stephen Colbert and John Oliver and Samantha Bee and Daisy Samiro and Seth and Jimmy and whoever's hosting Jimmy Kimmel Live right now, watching them host their shows without an audience has only made me appreciate the format of late night even more. Conan, especially when he was doing I think he did like 2 weeks straight of only interviewing people of color during the George Floyd protest rather, and Jimmy Fallon is he's really good at least keeping the energy up and bringing in when he was at home, bringing his family in. Seth Meyers has been slowly going crazy, which is great. I think, and as has Stephen Colbert. I really do think that this is flourishing and it's bringing about a new age of late night television. And so with Saturday Night Live coming back into the studio for the 46th season, they can do things like they did on SNL at Home for those sketches that they've never done before, which is something that I think will change SNL for the better. They're not going to have to pander to the audience and have long applause breaks because Matt Damon appeared as Brett Kavanaugh. This is. I mean, obviously you can still have the cameos, but I just don't like the slow down of the action. I just watched Gary Goldman's The Great Depression on HBO, and it was. I don't watch a lot of stand-up for a specific reason, and that was so good. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's just about him and coming out about his depression and how he was just dealing with it. Just truly wonderful. And I have never agreed with someone more in stand-up. But this is going to be something different if the producers can pull it off. Is what Brian Steinberg wrote here. I mean, what's up with that? They pulled that off in quarantine. So who's to say what's up with that is my favorite SNL anything. So who's to say this is gonna, So it's coming back. Everybody's gonna be there. Let's see. Plans for coming SNL season aren't typically revealed until the end of the summer. Some cast members have growing spate of commitments. Kate McKinnon's got a dramatic Hulu series. Kenan Thompson, Eddie Bryden, and Michael Che have other projects going on. But we'll see how this goes. I want this to flourish. Speaking of things that flourish, hey, let's go to break. When we come back, we'll talk about the main thing that there is to talk about. Going to break right now, baby. And we're back from break. We're back. If only you could see the 20 seconds I spin here alone. Let me reset this clock. All right. Let's get back to it. Today's opening day for baseball. The Washington. I think it's who's playing. Who's playing today? It's Washington, and I only know it's Washington because I keep saying Washington. No, I just heard it on the television. And Dr. Anthony Fauci threw out the first pitch. Opening day in D.C. It's the Yankees and the Nationals. And again, I'm not baseball's biggest fan, but this is very exciting to watch. And also, basketball is starting, and the Mavericks are playing right now, and I didn't know they were playing. I was making dinner, and then I ate dinner, and I watched like 4 episodes of Nathan For You in a row because I'm in that kind of mood. Why did this not start? Okay. So it's very exciting to see these things done. I thought, you would think baseball would be the easiest thing to be done. And they've been playing soccer all over the world for the past couple of weeks. I even like soccer. But you better believe that when I turned on Sports Center in the morning after I finished working out. Speaking of working out, I saw Bowflex was having a sale on its adjustable kettlebells. And for the past 3 days, they're $150 each. And they go from 8 pounds to 40 pounds. And for the past 3 days, I have literally just been going to the website and looking at them and going, should I drop the money? Should I drop the money? Because I don't want to go back to the gym right now. I don't trust people. And I'm thinking, man, should I drop 3? It's free shipping too. And so there's no taxes and any of that stuff. So I'm just like, should I drop it? Should I drop it? Should I drop it? And then today I go to the site and it just says out of stock. And I go, well, I guess the universe made the decision for me. Because they're dumbbells, they're adjustable dumbbells. Both the one that goes to 52 pounds and the one that goes to 90 pounds, or both of them have been out of stock since March. And then they just truly like 3 weeks ago introduced something that's like a curl bar and a straight bar, and it goes up to like it goes up to 80 pounds. You can buy extendable weights for 120. And it's like $500 or $600, and it went up for sale for like a couple of days, and it just went out of stock too. And so now you can't buy any of their weights, and I'm so pissed because I want the weights, but also they cost like half of rent, so obviously I can't buy anything. When I could go back to the gym, spend that for a month, but I don't want to do that. I feel like it'd still be dirty. Like I just don't want to. I don't want to have to, go and wear a mask or anything in a gym. But there you go. So even I'm afraid to go out to places. When I run on Saturdays, it's crazy because like I'll go to Whole Foods and Trader Joe's and Target. So if you want to murder me, I go to one of those 3 stores, and on Saturday, every single Saturday morning. And I come back, so I go at like 7 o'clock when they open, and then I finish up around 8:30. I get home, I stretch it out, and then by the time I start running, it's like 9 o'clock in the morning. It's hot outside, and people are, again, I live near this thing called the Beltline in Atlanta. It's like a man-made trail, and it goes through part of the city. And when I run, I don't run on that, but I do run on adjacent places and streets and everything. And sometimes I come back just for like the last half mile of my run to run on that, and people don't move, or they block paths with how they're walking, and oh my god, it's just jeez. And you can say, oh, well, why don't you run around, and why don't you run around? Like I specifically going this way so I could get back to my house quicker. Oh my gosh, but soon enough I will have moved a block away. No, it's like 3 or 4 blocks. Hey, Disney just pulled off Mulan off of the calendar for the year, and Avatar and Star Wars movies have been delayed by 1 year. I want to come out and say this right now. I know I don't like Star Wars. I know I tried super hard, but having Disney Plus and truly, I genuinely have only spent $7 a month for the past couple of months since it came out to watch The Simpsons. I don't want to watch anything else. I don't want to watch Bonkers. I don't want to watch Disney's Doug, which I discussed extensively last week. So maybe I should start watching Star Wars. I'm not going to, but every time I see like Han Solo and Episode 3 and all that crap up there, I go, you know what? Maybe I should try it. Maybe I should give it a try. And then I think back to when John Boyega was announced as a starman, and people were mad because he's a stormtrooper, and he's a black man, and there's no black stormtroopers. And then I said, no, thank you. And you know what? It wasn't all the fans, but it was enough of them to make a news story. So I said, no, thank you. I'm not going to watch this anymore. And I never did. But now I see this picture of Harry Potter on Deadline, and Harry Potter's about to leave HBO Max, and I'm thinking, do I want to watch Harry Potter? I've seen Harry Potter before. I've only seen the movies once, and I just don't care. And I'm thinking, do I want to watch Harry Potter? And I don't really. But they're on HBO Max, so I might as well. All right, let's get into this next story. Speaking of HBO Max, this comes from Deadline, written by Dade Hayes. Harry Potter. Here we go. Harry Potter. That's like Harry Potter's he used to be a wizard, and now he's a wizard lawyer, and he just works. He does divorce court. And he's like really fat, and he goes, "I'm Harry Potter." Every commercial is, "I'm Harry Potter, and look what I can wizard for you." And he has a wand with him, and it transitions, and it shoots out magic, and it transitions to like a different camera angle. He goes, "You're sick of your wife, and she a muggle and you're a wizard? Well, I'm gonna get you all the money you deserve." You live with a bunch of fat relatives and you're trying to emancipate yourself. Come to Harry Potter, wizard lawyer extraordinaire, Esquire. 23 minutes. Okay. All right. So Harry Potter, Jurassic Park, movies are going to be leaving these services periodically. Peacock has just launched, and it's already losing The Matrix and I believe some of the Bourne movies. But even for HBO Max, when it launched, formerly, within 2 weeks, it had a last chance thing, and you saw like some DC movies are going to leave, like Batman and Batman versus Superman and the rest, Wonder Woman, and so some of these movies are leaving so fast, but they're going to different places. Jurassic Park is going to Netflix, and I don't know where The Matrix is going. But the reason why these movies are leaving so soon after these services start is for Peacock, Peacock has been out for 2 months. If you were a Comcast Xfinity X1 and a Flex subscriber, you got Peacock, the early trial, for free. But B, which is the main reason for HBO and Peacock in these cases, are that these studios had already signed agreements with other streaming platforms. So while Jurassic Park did launch with Peacock, technically, Netflix has probably already signed the rights, for August, and and they have exclusivity rights for a couple of months. And you see that happening, and people think it's that's how these things work. Licensing, and this is from the article, licensing and distribution has become a dense thicket for business affairs and legal teams to slice their way through, with properties assumed to be in-house often winding up somewhere else, due to legacy deal-making. Until quite recently, and even still in many cases, licensing titles to third parties was the way of the world. And now you have these companies trying to get the movies that they own. So, Disney is trying to get all the Star Wars and Marvel movies on their service. Warner, it'd be in HBO Max's best interest to have all the Warner properties. But, that's just how the ball lands. I don't know. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. Nice thing to bring up. I want to see Dr. Anthony Fauci throw out this first ball pitch. This first ball pitch over there on opening day. Dr. Anthony Fauci. This is the one respite he has, and even still, he's wearing a mask, walking out here, wearing this jersey. I wonder if Fauci lives. I'm watching this live, so I wonder if Fauci lives in Washington. I wonder if he has two houses. I like to believe he has two houses. I like to believe that when he was, oh, that's not a good pitch, Fauci. That's not a good pitch, brother. Says the guy who probably couldn't do that. Oh man, if I had to, all right. Anyway, and this final thing, this comes from Vox, written by Asia Romano, how voice actors are fighting to change an industry that renders them invisible. And so this is talking about what I spoke about a couple weeks ago. People like Jenny Slate, Kristen Bell, and Hank Azaria, and Mike Henry are leaving their respective characters on the animated shows that happen to be people of color. They don't happen to be people, they are people of color. But the voice actors are white, and now they're stepping back. But they're trying to get these shows to hire people of color. Kristen Bell and Jenny Slate and Nick Kroll, and they all apologize for having these people, for voicing these people. But the thing is, they took the job. You already took the job. You knew what was you could have known that this civil upheaval was going to happen, but you knew what you were getting into. Kristen Bell was voicing a half-black character, as was Jenny Slate. And I mean, these characters already exist in these worlds, and recasting is just, especially for a show like Big Mouth, that's 4 seasons in right now. You're already behind the curve on that. And The Simpsons, Apu, they haven't even had Apu as like a big secondary character in years, except for the episode he did with Akar Ambakar. Except for the episode, not the cartoon character did with Utkarsh, but that when he voiced it. Anyway, he voiced a character in that show. He was Apu's nephew years ago. Okay, so for an increasing number of white actors, it's time to share responsibility to pass the microphone to actors of color. For the time being, voice actor Allegra Clark from Sailor Moon and Fortnite told me in an email it's important for white actors to take a step back and okay, whatever. Those opportunities have, however, been vanishingly rare. I believe that the Lauren Bouchard. Let me double check this. Lauren Bouchard, even as recently as the past January, Bob's Burgers creator Lauren Bouchard took a "what can you do" approach, telling Variety that he needed to cast white actress Kristen Bell as a biracial character in his upcoming Apple TV Plus cartoon Central Park. And this is a quote from him: "Kristen needed to be Molly. We couldn't not make her Molly," he said, "but then we couldn't make Molly white, and we couldn't have Kristen mixed race. We couldn't make Kristen mixed race, so we just had to go forward." That's kind of like a FU approach to the whole thing, which I don't appreciate. But and then you Bob Waksberg from BoJack Horseman. He had Alison Brie. She was voicing a Vietnamese character, I believe, and their voice acting is a different world from regular acting, where that you're supposed to be able to play literally any character. Phil Lamar is a black voice actor, and he plays Jon Stewart for the Justice League show in the early 2000s, but he also plays Asian character Samurai Jack, and he truly voices so many aliens. He voices people of color. He voices white people, because he just has that kind of voice. But we live in a different time now, and it's just if it's tough for people of color to even land these roles in the first place, where that look at Big Mouth. Who's the only person of color on that show? That's Gina Rodriguez and Jordan Peele are the only 2 people of color, and they play characters of color. It's high time. No, it's time for voice actors of color to reclaim their spots, because this is different from Peter Sellers putting on brown face. There's plenty of Indian actors that could have hired for that part, or Mickey Rooney putting on yellow face and or yellow teeth rather. But sorry, I'm so sorry. Please don't kill me or cancel me. No, don't kill me either. For voice acting, I think it's very different, and it does have to change However, it's, I don't know. You're walking a fine line because you should. The guy who plays Kratos is in God of War. He's black, but Kratos is white because they didn't have any people of color in Greek mythology. Unless you watch the Disney's Hercules, Hermes is blue, and I assume he's black. And Zeus is really dark skinned, he's super tan. But Athena is like yellow. I don't know. But now that these things are a little bit more forward facing, when voice actors can be the main like Kristen Bell is El Sarana, or the crap princess they are, and people know who they are and they follow their lives. There needs to be some type of stopgap for these things. So all I want to say is just hire people of color to play characters of color and white characters. But white people should only play white people. The end. Listen. If you like what you heard here, head over to our website, sickles.com, where there's an interview with Kyle Kinane coming up. It's a great interview. I spoke to Kyle Kinane earlier this week, right before the Depression hit, and I told a little story about, you know what, I might include it on the end of this episode. So if you're listening to the audio version of this episode, maybe I'll include the ending of, oh God, I don't want to, I don't want to do that because this is a very special story. Anyway, one day I tweeted at Kyle something, and he said it sounded a little snarky, and and so this is why I don't do news on the website anymore, and it was really good to see. So maybe I'll include it at the end of this, maybe I won't, but you'll definitely see the interview sometime soon in the next couple of days or so. If you want to see a video version of the show, head to youtube.com/CPlusComedy, where you can see news time. This week's episode is about Peacock. If you want to follow us on Facebook, like us on Twitter at @CPlusComedy, Instagram at @CPlusComedy, me on Twitter and Instagram at @ChadBlackWhite. Rate and review this show wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for listening. I'm going to stop because the camera is going to turn off in a couple of seconds. All right, bye.